35 years ago, military planners watched a war unfold that changed how modern conflicts are fought forever. A defense network that looked unstoppable on paper collapsed in weeks, not years. And now, as tensions rise and negotiations move in unpredictable directions, analysts keep whispering the same question. Could that same blueprint ever be used again? Some reports suggest the strategy that shocked the world in 1991 is quietly shaping modern planning today. But the real story isn't just about weapons or aircraft, it's about hidden weaknesses that only reveal themselves when everything goes dark. Because what happened back then wasn't simply a victory of strength, it was a victory of timing. In the early 1990s, most experts believed a massive air campaign would come with heavy losses. Iraq had one of the largest integrated air defense networks outside the Soviet sphere. Thousands of missiles, layered radar systems, and centralized command centers made analysts think any attacking force would face devastating resistance. Reports at the time predicted waves of aircraft might never make it back, but the opening hours rewrote every expectation. Stealth aircraft targeted coordination hubs instead of frontline launchers. Communication lines broke down. Radar crews struggled to understand what they were seeing. Instead of a drawn-out battle in the sky, the system unraveled faster than anyone predicted. The real lesson wasn't about destroying equipment, it was about disrupting the brain behind it all. And that lesson still echoes through defense discussions today, especially when analysts look at modern air defense structures. But what exists now is far more advanced, or at least that's what many believe. Over the last few decades, Iran has invested heavily in layered defense systems designed to prevent a repeat of past conflicts. Long-range platforms like the S-300 variants, alongside domestically developed systems, often described as rivals to more advanced models, are meant to track targets across huge distances. Medium-range interceptors and shorter-range defenses form overlapping rings around critical infrastructure. Supporters say these upgrades create a defensive wall capable of tracking hundreds of targets at once. Critics argue that public claims about performance can be difficult to verify independently. Still, one incident in 2019, when a high-value drone was reportedly taken down, showed that at least some parts of the system work. On paper, it sounds like a fortress. Multiple layers, overlapping radar coverage, and years of upgrades meant to prevent surprise attacks. But according to some defense observers, the real challenge isn't how powerful the pieces are, it's how well they talk to each other. And that's where comparisons to the past start getting uncomfortable. Integrated air defenses rely on coordination more than firepower. Every radar, missile battery, and command center has to share data constantly. If that network stays intact, defenders can track stealth aircraft, coordinate launches, and avoid wasting precious interceptors. Yet history shows what happens when that network fractures. In earlier conflicts, once command nodes were disrupted, individual missile sites became isolated. Operators could see threats, but couldn't share information fast enough to respond effectively. Some analysts suggest modern systems may still carry similar vulnerabilities, not because the technology is outdated, but because complexity creates new pressure points. Rumors in defense circles often focus on electronic warfare and cyber disruptions aimed at coordination links rather than hardware itself. Nothing about those claims is confirmed publicly, but the idea alone changes how planners imagine a modern campaign. Because if the network collapses first, everything else becomes easier. And that leads to the opening moves experts keep debating. A modern operation wouldn't begin with fighter jets racing across borders. According to various defense discussions, the first phase would likely happen from long range, using standoff weapons launched far outside hostile airspace. The goal wouldn't be destruction for its own sake, it would be confusion. Precision strikes would aim at communication hubs, radar nodes, and infrastructure supporting coordination. Reports claim cyber capabilities could also play a role, though details remain classified and widely debated. Analysts often speculate about digital tools designed to disrupt networks before any physical strike begins, but publicly confirmed information is limited. Stealth bombers, if used, would focus on hardened targets that traditional weapons struggle to reach. The emphasis wouldn't be speed alone, it would be synchronization, hitting multiple systems at once so defenders struggle to understand what's happening. But even that might not be the biggest difference between past wars and modern planning. Because today's battles aren't just about staying invisible, they're about creating illusions. One concept discussed frequently in military circles involves decoys designed to overwhelm radar operators. Small air-launched devices can mimic the radar signatures of larger aircraft, creating dozens, sometimes hundreds, of false targets on screens. Every time a defender launches an interceptor at one of these signals, they risk wasting resources on something that isn't even real. Supporters of this approach argue it forces defenders into impossible decisions. Do they ignore potential threats and risk letting real aircraft through, or fire at everything and run out of missiles? Electronic warfare platforms add another layer by jamming radar frequencies and disrupting communications. Instead of destroying defenses directly, the strategy focuses on turning advanced systems against themselves, creating hesitation and confusion. And while none of these tactics guarantee success, they show how modern warfare leans heavily on deception. But decoys and jamming only set the stage for the next evolution: aircraft that see the battlefield differently. Fifth-generation fighters are often described as flying data hubs rather than traditional jets. Their sensors gather information from multiple sources, combining radar, infrared tracking, and electronic signals into a single picture. That allows pilots to operate in complex environments while staying harder to detect. Some defense commentators suggest these aircraft might guide weapons launched from other platforms without revealing their own position. Others believe their biggest strength is information sharing, passing targeting data between ships, drones, and ground units in real time. Reports about recent encounters involving stealth aircraft and unmanned systems circulate online, though details remain difficult to verify independently. Still, the idea reinforces a larger trend. Modern conflicts depend on networks, not individual machines. And if the battle is about networks, then the most disruptive weapon might not be visible at all. Cyber operations remain one of the most debated aspects of modern military strategy. Analysts often speculate about tools designed to interfere with radar feeds, disrupt communications, or slow response times. Some rumors suggest digital access points may already exist inside certain networks, though there's no public confirmation of such claims. What makes cyber tactics different is their timing. Instead of a dramatic explosion, defenders might notice glitches, screens flickering, data lagging, commands failing to execute. By the time the issue becomes clear, the physical phase of a conflict could already be underway. Supporters argue cyber tools reduce the need for large-scale destruction. Critics warn that digital warfare is unpredictable and could escalate beyond anyone's expectations. Either way, it highlights how the battlefield has shifted from purely physical targets to invisible systems running behind the scenes. And that brings everything back to the bigger question. Is all of this preparation meant for war or to prevent it? Military buildups often serve as signals rather than immediate plans. Deployments, exercises, and public statements can be part of negotiation strategies, showing capability without crossing into open conflict. Some officials describe overwhelming strength as a deterrent, arguing that visible readiness makes escalation less likely. History offers mixed lessons. Past conflicts showed how rapid air campaigns could weaken forces quickly, but they also revealed how unpredictable political decisions can reshape outcomes overnight. As negotiations continue and rhetoric grows louder, the comparison to earlier wars becomes both a warning and a reminder. Technology may evolve, but uncertainty remains the one constant. And that uncertainty is exactly why analysts keep studying the past. Not because history repeats itself perfectly, but because its patterns reveal how fragile even the strongest defenses can be. The blueprint that reshaped modern warfare wasn't just about stealth aircraft or precision weapons. It was about understanding systems, finding the pressure points that turn strength into vulnerability. Today, discussions about advanced defenses, cyber tools, and next-generation fighters show how far technology has come, yet the core idea remains the same. Break coordination, and even the most powerful network can falter. But whether these strategies ever move beyond planning rooms is a question only time will answer. For now, they exist as both a warning and a reminder that the line between deterrence and escalation is thinner than most people realize. And maybe the real lesson from history isn't how wars are won, but how close the world can come to them without anyone realizing it.